You might call this the last straw. Republicans in the Senate killed a successful job creation program recently. Even Republicans like Susan Collins voted down the program, despite saying earlier in the day, I have seen firsthand that it has led to the creation of jobs in my home state and has been a catalyst for the private sector investment. Now, the Democrats pretty much have had enough. Today, Democratic leaders in the Senate said it loud and clear. Republicans are deliberately hurting the economic recovery by voting against anything and everything that helps the economy, even programs they previously supported.
Shouldn't they at least consider some jobs proposal? Some, one, two, but they've done none.
When we bring up bills that really have a chance to create jobs, they stop them with 100 amendments, unrelated amendments. That avalanche of amendments is not a show of good faith in dealing with this economy.
And I gave him a piece of my mind. I told him to his face I didn't want his policies to work.
They believe that a weak economy is their best chance of winning the next election.
Where is it?
Oppose even something so suited to their tastes
ideologically.
It shows
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over
Our
me.
top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term.
People are paying less in taxes as workers and as employers. You would think that that would be enormously popular with Republicans.
Last year,
their religion
you
is
said,
tax
quote,
cuts.
the single most
Do they
important
support
thing
this?
we want to achieve
No.
is for President
Why
Obama
not?
to be a one-term
Well, that's
president.
the question
So
that's
how
on the
do you
table right
respond to
now.
those Democratic
Why would
bonds?
Republicans
Well, that
not
is true.
support a Republican
That's my single
idea
most important
to help
political goal, along
create
with every
jobs?
active
And that's why the
Republican in the
Democrats have gone to this explanation that maybe they do. It sounds sick, but maybe they do want to keep the economy in the doldrums.
Our top
through the
political priority
2012
over the next 2 years should
It's
be
all
to
about
deny
the power for
President
the
Obama a
Republicans.
second term.
Good evening from New York. This is Thursday, June 30th, 495 days until the 2012
So where is it?
presidential
What
election
is
and
so
34
strange
days
about
until
being
the deadline
honest
for
and saying,
Congress to
I
raise
want
the debt
Barack
ceiling.
Obama
a
to
deadline
fail?
many congressional Republicans in both houses seem to believe is as fictional
And
as Harry Potter.
I gave him a piece of my mind. I told him to his face I didn't want his policies to work.
Called them out. Not Harry Gandalf or CC, the Republicans. The senator is Charles Schumer of New York, my guest in a moment in this news hour. And this morning, the senator told Washington's Economic Policy Institute that not only was the GOP agenda of cut, jeopardizing the economy's recovery from the Bush recession, but he posited something that heretofore no one had dared phrase this way.
We need to start asking ourselves an uncomfortable question. Are Republicans slowing down the recovery on purpose for political gain? And now it's becoming
Our top
clear
political
that
priority
insisting on
over the next 2
slash
years
and
should be to
burn
deny
approach
President
makes it
Obama a
hard
second
this
term.
plan.
Senator Schumer in a moment. Senator McConnell, the minority leader, in turn accused Democrats of wanting to impose hundreds of millions of dollars of taxes on American workers, not on the millionaires and billionaires the GOP is striving to protect from a tax hike. And in case President Obama had not gotten the GOP message already,
I'd like to invite the President to come to the Capitol today to meet with Senate Republicans. Anytime this afternoon he's available, come on up to the Capitol and meet with Senate Republicans. That way he can hear directly from Senate Republicans, why what he's proposing will not pass.
but will it be
Our top
directly?
political priority over the
Democratic
next
Senator
2
Jeff
years
Berkley
should be
is
to
offering
deny
a bill
President
which Senator
Obama a
McConnell
second
likely
term.
hopes will not pass. It would eliminate $126 million in tax breaks for the horse racing industry, which Mr. McConnell planted in farm legislation in 2008. Senator Berkley told the Roll Call website there should be no sacred cows and there should be no sacred horses. This is just one example of the special favors for the well-connected that need to be reviewed. The immediate future, Geithner seemed a good deal less optimistic about the politicians resolving things before the 2nd of August.
I think the leadership absolutely understands. I think the vast bulk of Congress understands it completely. I think there are some people who either are pretending not to understand it or think there's leverage for them
That's
in
not
threatening
the
a
most important political goal, along with every active
Republican Senators
Republican
Jim
in
DeMint of
Congress.
South Carolina, Rob Portman of Ohio, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Tom Coburn of Oklahoma. They told the Wall Street Journal, we're not going to default even if there is no debt ceiling increase. The fact is we've got to cut spending, and we've got to cut it now. It is my great pleasure to welcome Senator Charles Schumer of New York to the program. Good to see you, sir.
Glad to be here.
You posed,
Congratulations
Thank
on
you
your new
kindly.
show.
Thank you. It's our little house.
Very nice.
You posed this question today. Are Republicans slowing down the recovery on purpose for political gains next year? Are they?
Well, it's hard to believe they're not, because things that they used to support, all of a sudden they don't support. Here's one example. One of the things we've talked a little bit
Our
about.
top
is
political
spur
priority
the
over the
economy
next 2
is a
years
payroll
should be to
tax cut for
deny
employers.
President Obama a
Republicans
second
used to
term.
love that. All of a sudden they're saying no. Or how about this one? Some of those senators you mentioned.
Our
got up
top
and said,
political
"We have to
priority
meet
over the
this
next
week."
2 years should
So
be to
Senator
deny
Borges
President
scheduled
Obama
a
a
hearing
second term.
today that combined the Korean trade deal with trade assistance assistance to help those who are caught in this trade war get new training, get a new job. They didn't show. Yesterday they're saying we all
Our
have
top
to be
political
here
priority
through
over the
July,
next 2
through
years
the
should
July
be to
4th
deny
recess.
President
Now they
Obama
don't
a
show.
second term.
You've got to believe there is no consistency here. There is no internal compass that says this is my belief. And when Mitch McConnell said early on, his number one goal is to defeat Barack Obama, that's what it seems to be their doing. And their view, the worse
Our
the
top
economy
political
is,
priority
they
over the
do.
next
I'm
2
not sure
years
they're
should
right
be to
about
deny
that.
President
But,
Obama a second term.
I think they're just stopping everything for that purpose. That's what it's pretty hard to come up with a different explanation.
You made comments that the GOP is okay with creating chaos, that they actually don't necessarily want the economy to shape up because they can use it to defeat the president.
Our
in
top
2012.
political priority
Do you
over the
really
next
think
2
that's what's
years
going
should
on
be
with
to
the
deny
Congress?
President Obama a second term.
Absolutely. There's no question. Mitch McConnell has said it directly on television again and again. He's not changed his mind. The goal is to bring down the president.
The gridlock in the nation's capital has been broken. As we come on the air, a compromise bill has been passed in the House. The nation will not default on its debts tomorrow. And I want to bring in John Carl, who covers Congress for us, because it was such a remarkable scene on the House floor tonight when Congresswoman Gabby Giffords returned to cast her vote, John.
An unbelievable moment. There she is, Diane, in the glasses. Thunderous applause. I have never seen anything like it on the floor of the U.S. House. And this thing, look how it affected the vote. I mean, this bill passed overwhelming. 95 Democrats voted yes. This was the nail biter. We were all wondering if we would avoid default. It won in a landslide. And I tell you right now, I guarantee you, it was the Giffords boost. Her office said that she wanted to come back to vote on this bipartisan bill. She was frustrated with the gridlock here and didn't want the country to default. And I bet that brought a lot of Democrats on board.
What's in this compromise?
Well, the important thing to know is you avoid default. The debt ceiling is raised. The deal has deep spending cuts, up to $2.4 trillion over 10 years, and no tax increases. And it opens the door to Medicare cuts. And Republicans don't like the fact the bill cuts defense. But today, they seemed much more pleased about it than Democrats.
This gets us 2/3 of the cuts in discretionary spending we were looking for in our budget.
For the first time in the history of the ratings, Standard & Poor's downgraded the United States credit rating late Friday. The agency said it is cutting the country's top AAA rating by 1 notch to AA+. S&P said it's making the move because the deficit reduction plan passed by Congress this week did not go far enough to stabilize the country's debt situation. S&P first put the government on notice in April that a downgrade was possible unless Congress and the administration came up with a credible long-term deficit reduction plan and avoided a default on the country's debt. After months of wrangling and negotiations with the administration, Congress passed a debt reduction package at the 11th hour, that averted a possible default, but that did little to change the outcome. The S&P said that in addition to the downgrade, it is issuing a negative outlook, meaning that there was a chance it would lower the rating further within the next 2 years. Ross Simpson, The Associated Press.
Turned into a manic Monday on Wall Street, the Dow Industrials plunged 635 points on this, the first trading day since Standard & Poor's downgraded the U.S. credit rating. Today's drop came on the heels of the worst week on Wall Street since 2008. Now here are today's numbers. The Dow Industrials dropped more than 5.5% and closed below 11,000 points for the first time since last November. The S&P 500 tumbled nearly 80 points, or 6.7%, and the NASDAQ dipped nearly 7%. ABC's Scott Goldberg has more on what they're calling a market meltdown.
Around the world, stock markets hemorrhaged hundreds of billions in wealth on the first day of trading since Standard & Poor's lowered the U.S. credit rating. President Obama attempted triage.
This is the United States of America. No matter what some agency may say, we've always been and always will be a AAA country.
The president said he hoped now there would be a renewed sense of urgency.
We didn't need a rating agency to tell us that we need a balanced, long-term approach to deficit reduction.
But as the president spoke, anxiety was spreading.
Holy cow.
From investors worried about their 401ks in New York to students worried about loans in California.
Of course I'm going to be concerned if something interest rates go higher. I mean, it's more money that comes out of my pocket.
And the slide on Wall Street
Our top
continued.
political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term.
Since November. As for S&P, the agency that failed to predict the banking crisis is defending itself.
We're talking today about our government ratings, the group that I head up. That record remains very strong.
Our top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term.
Thoughts about the downgrade?
Absolutely not.
Scott Goldberg, ABC News, New York.
Kuttner, the economist, co-editor and co-founder of the American Prospect. Thank you for some of your time tonight, sir.
Delighted to be with you as always, Keith.
I thought this was a disaster on the stock market today, and yet, as Sam Stein just noted, U.S. Treasury notes did well. They were the very things that had been downgraded, no?
Well, the thing that's so totally irresponsible and flaky of Standard & Poor's is that they didn't tell the markets anything the markets did not know already. This is not like rating the municipal bonds of East Overshoe somewhere. I mean, this whole controversy about holding the debt ceiling hostage was hidden in plain view. The markets are capable of making up their own mind, and people actually were buying more Treasury securities today. The government is paying practically record lows, about 2.3%, to sell 10-year bonds. So it's a vote of no confidence in S&P, and it's an acknowledgement that the problem is not the deficit, the problem is the real economy. That's why the stock market went south.
Your article in Huffington Post today was headlined "AAA Idiots." Would you like to expound upon that headline?
Well, as your as your viewers have heard, I mean, these are the clowns who blessed subprime junk as AAA securities. They did it corruptly. They did it because they were being paid by the issuers to advise them on how to turn this dross into gold. So they're the last people in the world who ought to have credibility about anything. They, as Paul Krugman pointed out today, they got Japan wrong. I mean, 10 years ago they downgraded Japan. Japan is now able to sell its bonds for 1%. And you know, during World War II, when we had a national debt about double the size of today's national debt, when we had a national debt about double the size of today's national debt relative to the size of the economy, I mean, we were selling all the bonds we needed to sell for about 2.5%, and the bond rating agencies were not part of the act at all. So these guys should just get out of the way and find some kind of honest work.
So if I'm standing on the sidelines here and I see the downgrade and I see the Tea Party gloating and I see Paul Ryan saying, "Oh, I told you so," but why am I not supposed to believe there is collusion involved here?